Hey guys, what's going on? It is Ash here coming at you today with an episode a lot different than my usual video. Today I want to talk briefly about YouTube. It's been almost 2 years since I've had this channel, guys. Boy, does time fly by, and it will actually be coming up in August, will be my 2-year anniversary. So I thought I'd kind of look back and reminisce a little bit and talk about my experience with 2 years of YouTubing, and more so than that, hopefully relay a message of positivity regarding comments and cyberbullying on social media and YouTube as well. So we'll start out kind of harkening back to the good old days, at least when I started my channel. I kind of want to tell you guys a little bit about my background in case you weren't sure how I got here. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys. What do you say? So it all started, like I said, 2 years ago. I had no experience going into YouTube. I made every mistake in the book. It's funny, I recorded with my iPhone voice memo. I did that for my first 100 videos, and I would just do a one take. If I screwed up, I would just go, oh, guys, wait 1 second. Okay, there's the lava hound, and so on and so forth. I also used copywritten music, so none of those videos are even up anymore. I had to take them down, and everything was recorded with BlueStacks, which is technically against terms of service for the games I was playing at the time, just Clash of Clans. The biggest thing I've come to discover over the past 2 years, by far, is how amazing this community can be. And largely, your community will end up mirroring who you are. So if you're friendly and helpful and genuinely care about your viewers like I try to do, then those are the type of people you will attract to your channel. Obviously, you'll still get, not 100% of people are going to be exactly the same as you, but in general, the type of person you are, you tend to attract those same type of people. So I always try to be friendly and helpful and genuinely care about you guys, and not tooting my own horn, but I want that back too, selfishly. So that's definitely one of the biggest tips, is if you're nice and friendly to your viewers, they'll genuinely be nice and friendly back to you, and that can make for an awesome relationship, especially as you start to grow and move down the line. When I went through like one of the toughest times of my life, it was you guys, my YouTube audience, and my peers that came through for me in such a huge way. It makes me emotional just thinking about it, to be honest with you guys. But, if I could say one example of why YouTubing has changed my life, it would be that. The relationship that I have with you guys and the entire community can be so incredibly rewarding. The amount of love and support I receive from you guys in our little corner of the mobile gaming YouTube world has truly, honestly, been life-changing to me. I'm afraid to think of where I'd be without you guys, and that's the honest-to-God truth. Now, on the flip side of the coin, there have been some pretty dark revelations over the past 2 years that YouTube has really taught me, or brought to light, I guess, for me. But I'll share those in a few minutes. First, I kind of wanted to give 3 tips I've learned along the way for those of you maybe starting your own channels, or maybe, just curious about what are some do's and do-nots when it comes to creating a YouTube channel, whether it be for gaming, mobile gaming, or for anything in general. And the number one tip, I guess, is maybe it's not the number one tip, but certainly one of the most important tips is never make being a full-time YouTuber a goal. And I know that might sound kind of counterintuitive, because a lot of people probably start out by saying, wow, I wish I could do this full-time as a main gig. But let me tell you how incredibly rewarding it has been always keeping YouTube as my part-time job, or better term, just my hobby. So basically, the idea of quitting my day job and doing YouTube full-time is amazing. I work currently 40 plus hours a week, and then I work another 30 plus hours a week, probably closer to 40 as well, doing YouTube every single day, every single night. And I have no free time, so it doesn't sound like it's an amazing gig by any stretch, but it's still a hobby for me. It's still a creative project or an endeavor, and I love doing it. If I was to turn this into my full-time job, it would change everything. It would change, the views I get per video. I would start stressing out about it. I would start wanting to do more. Clickbait is the wrong way to go here. I'm not saying that I would ever do clickbait, but I would start to cater more towards my most popular videos instead of branching out and still covering things that I genuinely enjoy bringing to you guys. So the content would change if I was full-time versus just keeping things part-time as a hobby. I love that. And plus, for someone just starting out a channel right now, I mean, it's also good advice never to think about the money idea. Just do it because you love it. Do it because you're passionate about it. Don't do it because you want to make a lot of money, because let me tell you guys, unless you get really big or really lucky, there's not a lot of money in the small to medium to even semi-large size YouTube channels. It's not this millionaire, not everybody's PewDiePie out there, right? So certainly don't do it for the money. Do it because you love and enjoy doing it, and that way you can create the content that you really genuinely care about, and that will shine through the screen. Tip number 2 is don't try to be somebody you're not. It's always so transparent to me when people put on a persona or try to be someone that they're not when they're on YouTube. Everybody has their own quirks, their idiosyncrasies, and their personality, so own it and embrace it. It shines through and people can tell that you're being real, you're being generally yourself. Above all, don't be afraid to seem silly or uncool in any way. That's part of the thing that people love. If you're a geek, if you're a nerd, if you're just yourself, if you're not as the same as everybody else you think is popular, doing things the right way, don't worry about it. Just be yourself and it will work out for you. Trust me, guys. And number 3, don't sell out unless you really have to. So I'm not saying don't take any money and, don't accept offers and don't keep your eyes and ears open at all times. And certainly if you have a family to support or if you're doing this as a full-time gig, this really doesn't apply to that. But I can tell you about my number 1 mistake over the last 2 years, in my opinion. And my number 1 mistake isn't the silly rap videos I made or like I said, the silly stuff that I said in the point before, but rather it's actually taking money to cover a game. I've done it once. Before I tell you about that little experience, I've never done any of these App Nana or Free My Apps or any of these free gem videos. I've managed to avoid all that kind of stuff because I feel it really litters up the channel, and I don't even think that most of those things work that well. I mean, you put in like 20 hours to get a $10 gift card. So if you can avoid doing things like that, certainly do so. They can be somewhat lucrative on one side, but on the other side, they can take away a little bit from your credibility, and it just litters up your channel. But as far as promotional videos go, I did a promotional video for Mobile Strike, and it was awful, guys. It's still up right now. I'm thinking about taking it down, but I still leave it up because kind of a reminder to myself that, you know what, guys, if you want to do a promotional video for a game, I'm not promising that I'll never do one again. I've only done it once for Mobile Strike, and it's not worth the money to cover a totally awful game, and that's what I did. I pretended the game wasn't that bad. I was dishonest with you guys, my viewers, and it shined through. It's by far my least popular video, by far the one I'm least proud of, and it's just so transparent that I'm trying to be excited about a game that's awful. So my number 1 lesson is don't do promotional videos, don't do all the free gem videos and all that stuff. A, unless you really have to support your family, and B, unless you really love the material that you're asked to promote. For me, that's my new goal. That's my new standard for those type of promotional content. Is if you don't love the game, if you don't love whatever you're being paid to promote, then pass if you can, because it will shine through and it will hurt your channel in the long run. Now let's talk about the real message of today's video, at least what I hope for it to be, and that is the really big problem with cyberbullying in all forms of social media, not just YouTube, but on Facebook and Twitter, on whatever, right? So being 34 years old, I'm really the last generation ever to experience life without the internet, without smartphones, without instant connection to anybody I wanted at the tip of my fingers. When I got my driver's license, there was no GPS. There were no cell phones for your parents to check up on you. I did have a pager, though. It seems weird that life was like that at one point. I was so disconnected. There was no texting. If you had a crush on a girl back in my day, you had to pick up your cordless phone if you were a baller, and then call her, and then you had to ask her parents' permission to talk to her, all to just have one little 2-minute conversation. Life today, suffice it to say, is a little bit different. And my first experience with the internet was in AOL chat rooms back in the late 90s, or mid to late 90s, when the internet was really in its infancy. Now, back then, I'm sure there were creeps and trolls in those chat rooms, don't get me wrong, but I do have a very unique experience, because after that point in the mid to late 90s in AOL chat rooms, I really didn't communicate via the internet much at all until I started playing Clash of Clans almost 20 years later. And that was my biggest shock hopping into Clash of Clans and then YouTube. The way people treated people over text, strangers, was mind-boggling to me. People said things left and right that I knew they'd never say to anyone in real life, let alone, again, a stranger. I was honestly shocked at first. Now, I'd like to think that I have really thick skin, and especially over the last 2 years, my thick skin has grown much thicker. But at first, I can't lie, I have a history of some mild depression, and I've gone through a lot of stuff over the last couple years. And some of these comments really stuck with me. And I haven't even seen it the worst. You know, by and large, 99% of my comments and my communication in social media is positive. And even if it's negative, most of the time it's constructively negative, or even if it's a snide remark, I mean, that's not a big deal. I mean the really hateful comments. And not about me. Let's not make this about me. It's about other people. I've seen other big YouTubers in the Clash of Clans family turn off their comments altogether because they just don't want to handle the constant hate that's spewed around in all forms of social media. People don't realize that other people out there might not be going through the best times in life, and the things that you say on the internet, even if you don't think about them, they really do matter. They matter. Those are real, tangible words, and you really need to think long and hard before you type something, especially if you're emotional at the moment. I mean, that's why I created, when I started our clan family in Clash of Clans almost 4 years ago, by the way, that's the reason why I made family-friendly and respect the virtues and a staple of the entire clan alliance. Not because I can't handle a few swear words, I swear in real life just as much as the next guy, but because the internet has become such a hateful place, I wanted to create a safe zone for people of all backgrounds, race, and gender to really just feel safe and happy and enjoy the game as an escape from real life, not as another burden on top of everything they have to deal with in real life. So this all leads me to my most important message of today's video, guys. Please be nice to people. This may sound so cliche, but any idiot with a keyboard or a smartphone can name call or flame people or cyber bully people. It doesn't take any intelligence. It takes real intelligence to actually talk things out, treat people respectfully even if you disagree with them, and to always be the bigger person. So my challenge to you guys is not to be perfect, but just remember that there are real people on the other side of every screen that you type into. They could be kids, they could be parents, they could be someone who's very depressed, they could be perfectly happy, but we don't know. I challenge you guys to speak up if you see internet bullying. Step in. Be not only the bigger person, but also a defender for those who are in need. I don't think this video will change the world, but I truly hope that at least a few of you who are listening will think twice the next time they type something they don't truly mean, or that at least they wouldn't say in real life. I love you all. Love each other too. So that's going to do it for today's video, guys. You know what? I got a little bit deeper than I had intended to, but I hope at least a few of you guys take something away of value from it. And thanks so much for watching and hearing a little bit of my story. I really appreciate it, guys, and I appreciate everything you've done for me over the past 2 years. It really has meant the world to me, guys. So thank you so much, and hopefully in 2 years from now, I'll still be making these videos, and you guys can still be taking a little bit of time out of your day to hang out with me, guys. I truly appreciate it as always, and as always, take care, guys.